All right, that was Joe Nelly. Woo!
When I make music, I break the rules. I think about play. There's this book I like by Miguel Sicart. It's called Play Matters. So it's not really about the conditions of winning or losing in a game, but it's just how you express yourself as a player. And perhaps the best games out there is when the player has the ability to express themselves. And I think the same way about music, especially electronic music, being with computers and synthesizers and what have you. I go to a machine. I want to play it for what it is. I want to see what it does. I don't have to know music theory. I don't have to know how to do this or that or play Beethoven or Led Zeppelin. I just want to press one button and see what happens. If I can just play one note and it's a solo, quote unquote, then perhaps it can be something more than that. People can think under the illusion it means so much more, and that's how I think about music. I'll go in with I'll write a computer program in Max 9 and see what I can do with it. I'll mess with some VSTs and then some samples, sample the hardware, and see what I do if I do this. And it's always about improvisation and seeing what happens. And then something new comes out. This mutated thing that really is you. It's organic, but it's also like a robot.
Was wondering if you'd like to do it again. Isaac Q, Space Parachute, was wondering if you'd like to do it again. Isaac Q, Space Parachute, was wondering if you'd like to do it again. Isaac Hughes, Space Parachute, is wondering if you'd like to do it again. Isaac Hughes, Space Parachute, was wondering if you'd like to do it again. You don't even know what rights are. You think rights are some stupid fucking shit like, I have the right to this. Explain what a right is. You can't do it. You just can't. Cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying to not to lose my head. Fuck all you fakers and think I wipe it. I'ma die to the road, cause I do it fun. Then I burn it for one. All you fake that don't know what the deal is. Cause talk that real talk. That talk the feel talk. Why does Warren just toss him to the wall? Cause talk that real talk. It's talk the feel talk. Cause he ruined so many lives. He ruined so many ties. Real talk.
I'm singing. I'm here. Feel free to say a prayer over this demonic leadership. Are you feeling like a Berlin nightclub yet?
No. But I'm looking at so I guess the people that are hosting that debate with Andrew Wilson, right? And it's saying that
Who's hosting that debate? Uncensored America.
yeah. So it says
If you look into that, if you
Antifa.
look into them, it's very funny. You'll see why I'm laughing. If you look into it, it's funny. Go ahead.
It says that Antifa is calling for students to kick over the table at our debate tonight between Andrew Wilson and Apostle Coffee.
God, not the table flippers. That sounds very Jesus-like, and we don't like this kind of people. I don't know why I turned into a British person.
That wasn't British. That was like a J New Yorker handicapped person. But anyways,
Bushwick, essentially.
pretty much. The University of North Carolina in Asheville. That's where they're doing it. So it's going to be an NC. Let me read it to you.
Well, I just want to say one thing first. People don't realize that Asheville is literally like the most liberal Jewish place in the fucking country. But go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a bunch of just like woke commies that go out there and smoke weed and whatever. But I mean, I got a friend that goes. He lives out there, but he's not like that. He works at like a beer factory. He's a skateboarder, but I grew up skating with him. But he's.
But he just can't wear his MAGA hat everywhere like he wants. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I doubt he does that. I don't think he's like. I don't think he cares about politics. He's not that type of dude. But this is funny. That's funny. I guess they're calling to flip the table. This is what they say. They say students on April 28th in the Blue Ridge Room, a debate over whether or not Christians should support Zionism will be taking place. Yet, if you believe that this is a debate will be a fair engagement of the differing opinions, you are sorely mistaken. With a far-right Orthodox Christian on one side and a fervent Zionist on the other, this debate serves to only reinforce the hatred of those oppressed and the regions involved. Why must we, the student body, put up with this travesty? Why are we provided no option to support those we want and the people we want to protect? We were given no out, no chance for victory. Our opponents are hell-bent that we accept our defeat. A debate that starts on the right and ends further on the right is not a debate to begin with. This is a farce, and the people at the top will laugh at it if we stand idly by as they dictate the realm of discussion and thus the course of history. Since our opponents hold at the aces, the only option left is to kick over the table. Storm this debate, pack the house, crowd the audience, make your voices heard. Do not let this university dictate what you are allowed to believe. The right to regulate speech belongs in the hands of the people. Through our societies, we are the ones who determine what is acceptable. The university merely has to uphold the banner of free speech and leave the rest in our hands. Wow. So what are they saying? Like that they're both, two sides of the same coin or something?
To me, sounds like a bunch of liberal, hippie-loving sons of bitches. No, I mean, it sounds like a setup through and through on every level to me personally. It's like okay, so you're in like literally the most liberal place probably in the country, honestly. I mean,
yeah.
Because honestly, people think that San Francisco is like super liberal, but like if you actually took it, if you actually looked at like percentage wise, I don't think it's actually as liberal as people think it is. And I know that sounds insane, but I think if you come here long enough, you'd realize like it's like half communist and half something else. I mean, it's not liberal in the sense that people think of it. But anyways, it's like sorry, I'm eating a little food. It's really interesting because it's just a whole fake debate. Essentially, it's like, okay, don't let these people represent us, even though they just have a different opinion than us, but then it's two sides of the same coin. But it's like we don't like Zionism, but we don't want to have a debate over whether or not it's valid. But also, I mean, it's like the amount of mental gymnastics.
Well, what I think is funny about it is this aspect of it is that Andrew Wilson's in the Antiochian Archdiocese, right? And okay, so the apostate prophet, he's involved with the ecumenical patriarch, okay? And both of those are in full Eucharistic communion. You get what I'm saying? So their hierarchies are in communion with each other.
So apostate
So,
prophet is a Christian?
well, supposedly they're going to, like, him and his wife have been going to church, right?
Really? So they're Orthodox Christians too?
Yeah, yeah. So, but this is,
What the fuck?
oh, yo, this is the funny part about it, though, is that
That's
he
funny.
thinks that Orthodox Christianity accepts Zionism because the patriarch that he's under, it's Bartholomew, who's a Freemason and an ecumenist. You get what I'm saying? And like he's been
I'm
like,
sure that doesn't influence his spiritual beliefs whatsoever.
you get what I'm saying? So like he's like basically like, see, Orthodoxy accepts Zionism. It's like, dude, you're pointing towards a heretic, you know, who's taken over the hierarchy that's a Freemason, dude. Like, you know, this is what every true Orthodox knows that's going on. And what I
Well,
think is
Andrew
funny.
Wilson used to be a Mason, of course. I mean, there's no coincidence.
Wow. Okay. So, but this is the hilarious part is like even if Andrew Wilson like is standing up and saying what's right, which I'm sure he will, like he's going to give like some pretty good opinions that are true. But it's like, dude, it doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter because it's all talk. You know what I'm saying? Because as far as you walking it, you're going to continue to be under the Greek Archdiocese that's in
Oh, don't
communion with
worry. He's not
Bartholomew
gonna.
the Zionist.
He's not going to take a long walk off a short plank. He's going to lead his followers to do.
That's what's so crazy about it. Like, dude, like, no matter what you do, you can't just talk about something. You know what I'm saying? Especially like in a situation like this, like it's just gonna be talk. That's it.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Are you excited for Andrew Fedbot to go debate today?
Yeah.
Yeah, is it gonna be like a live stream of it or something?
Who's host? Oh, that Uncensored America. I'm sure it'll be. What's funny is they don't really do these things for like the live stream. It's actually about clipping it up for like 1,000 channels to go and spread clips of Antifa versus MAGA and make it seem like there's a war in this country between
Yeah, I know.
conservatives,
The
whatever.
divided cocker game, right?
That's the funny
Yeah.
part. Is like this is literally like racist thespian stuff. I mean, it's like let's just create some sort of like theatrical production that makes it seem that. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not real people involved. I'm just saying that the optics are obviously. I mean, it's like
No,
when you
it's definitely real people. It's real people getting manipulated by these people that are getting clout off of, putting decisive politics amongst the culture.
That Twitter that you put up of him saying, I have protesters. Does that mean I made it? Where's my contract, Fox? I mean, that's hilarious. It's like that's an actual like admission too, though. That's the funny part. It's like, and again, like I don't even care if someone's a quote unquote shill as far as like, okay, like you work for a major corporation or whatever. I think you could probably, if things were anywhere near real, you could still work for a big company and like dog whistle your message out, allegedly, right? But that's the thing is like you're not going to get to that level unless you've already been vetted that your dog whistles are hashtag approved. And I think that's what they did with like Tucker Carlson. To like, he was obviously dog whistling like anti-black stuff and anti this and anti, it's like pro-Russia stuff. I mean, it's like, and they had to get, so it's like they've already pre-approved like certain dog whistles and stuff like that, which is kind of interesting. The more you really look at it, I mean, if it was real, then people like him would get JFK'd, right, or whatever, right? So that's what I'm saying is like obviously until that starts happening,
Who would get JFK?
Andrew Wilson.
someone like a Tucker Carlson or any of these people that that are supposedly speaking for the peoples,
I mean, the CIA, right? Like, I don't know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, basically. But the thing is this, like, my point is, like, I don't even care if the CIA is, like, running shit or whatever, if they actually wanted to do something that at least helped my people, whatever that is. I mean, like, even if you want to look at it from, like, a secular standpoint, like, where is the real strategy here? Like, what is the strategy to make everyone black and gay? I mean, is that the United States policy right now? Like that seems like
I think you pointed it out before that they're pushing the wokeness to push people into a conservative sphere, right? Because if you make it so crazy on one side, then you give them the solution, and the solution is really just Zionism and mass with conservatism, then you win, Israel wins. That's what it's about. That's what I see, at least. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but they're like funding both sides of the dissent, and that's what Russia does. That's what all these other countries do, but they're under a wing too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep, safely under the dragon's wings.
Right.
Did you guys see what I said about the spitballs?
No, I didn't see that.
9, mein Führer, tell me.
If you don't mind checking reading that real quick, if you still got it up. It's like a couple sentences.
Can you weed it to me?
I don't think I can, but if it's not a big deal. It basically.
I need a robot servant to read for me. Hold on 1 second. Robot servant, read.
If you guys hadn't seen it though, that's just what I think it goes along the lines of exactly with what you guys were saying. But I kind of detail a little bit how, it'll be like an action of flipping, an action of like trying to maybe fake or either really blow like the spot up with some, like whatever that post said. I kind of like listed what it would serve.
It's in my Discord, right? Or is that in machines?
That one's in machines.
Like, there's something where, like, the British did something when they went over to Africa, that they went over there, and there was a tribe there, and they weren't separated, right? Well, they ended up separating them into 2 groups, and then pitted the 2 groups against each other, right, to divide them, so they wouldn't be like a firm unit. And this is like a classic, like technique to manipulate the masses. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody knows it, but there's a political commentator that and a historian that kind of points this stuff out. And they did it in Russia. They did it in Africa. They've done it in the French Revolution. They're doing it in America. It's just the same propaganda. And the reality is that there's very few people that are like, have a worldview, like a historic worldview, and understand that. So it doesn't matter, right? Because if you have the majority of the population that doesn't understand that, then you could just put them into trivial politics and they're going to fall for it every time,
Mm-hmm.
It's the same old game.
Yeah, I was saying about the Andrew Wilson and them flipping the tables. Basically, like, all it's going to do is allow the media to basically pump the narrative, they're going to pump whatever is best for them, no matter what. So if these guys show up, it actually just falls into the plan of, okay, cool. Now these guys who are only on one stage, they're going to be talked about because of this ruckus that was created over more clips, or probably over more internet networks as well. And then so they're just going to get like kind of more like the shills are going to get a little bit more famous off of it either way. And then the other side of that is
those groups.
And the other side of that is like whoever did the, I don't know, potential potential criminal stuff there, then the media is also going to show the people what's going to happen if you even try to plan or do anything against what we have, lined up here in the itinerary.
Right. So it's going to be like, okay, you got Antifa attacking this debate, and it'll make the left look like radicals, which they are pretty radical, you know what I mean? But why are they radical? It's because they're, sort of being pushed into that echo chamber. And then you're going to have, the conservatives come out the other side looking like the victim and the more sane or something. So then you funnel people into their ideology.
Well, it's funny. Like every time, like it's almost like I'm a contrarian because I've swung back and forth on this whole like pendulum, I guess you'd call it, back since I was a kid. Like when the Iraq War first started. When the Iraq War first started, I was totally against it, and I thought it was all bullshit because I didn't really trust 9/11 from day one, pretty much. So
What? No.
but I was accused of being like a liberal or whatever, and actually I thought I was a liberal growing up because everyone I knew was a Democrat pretty much until I moved to like a more rural area, and I was like, oh, like everybody's like, we like George Bush and we like conservatism and stuff, and I was like, why? And they're like, and I just didn't get it because I wasn't really like, my family was never interested in politics. I'm really the only person who was. It was basically like, well, Democrats give everybody a social safety net, and everybody we know is poor, so that's good. That's basically like as far as I ever got with anybody that I knew in my real life. You know what I mean? And so that's about
Sorry,
as far.
You just made me remember. I went to a Glenn Beck event once. This shit was so funny. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I didn't watch.
Like
I remember.
Fuck it, I want to think like 2007 probably.
That would probably be interesting because I that's around the time I became aware of Glenn Beck, and I did.
Straight up, dude.
But Glenn Beck was funny because he was like literally doing like conspiracy theory shit on Fox News, which with like the fucking whiteboard
Judge Napolitano, I remember.
Yeah, it was.
He was the first one to say like, he was like saying more Alex Jones type things on mainstream, and he was the only one.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were literally trying to get like right wing people to like fight with the government even back then. So that's what people forget is like even 20 years ago they were doing the messaging like, oh, the government's going to get it, so we better get into the bunker.
Yeah, they were doing
shit like that. So it's just funny. It's like people just have totally forgot about that, and anyways, I mean, I could go off on a tangent, but anyways, so that was as much as I knew about politics. But then so anyways, every time things have swung, and then like around the time of the Tea Party, I was definitely like very pro Tea Party, and then I thought all the Occupy Wall Street people were kind of gay, and I was like, this is like, what are you doing? You're camping out, smoking drugs in front of.
I thought to me they looked kind of cool. I remember.
Well, I just didn't pay attention, honestly.
I was like, man, these people are involved, sleeping in tents outside the Federal Reserve buildings and stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't really watch much. I was pretty much like just saw it on TV, and I was like, that looks, like a waste of time, essentially. And
probably half feds or something too.
Yeah, well, I mean, Temple came out of it, so what do you expect? But anyways, my point is like, I just swung back and forth. Like, I really thought of myself as a conservative around the time of like the Trump stuff because I didn't really trust Trump per se, but I did like the alt-right at the beginning of it because I saw it as like, okay, like we're not really like focused on like the social safety net issue per se. Is like we don't really care about that. We're just more like, okay, do we want like endless immigration for the rest of our lives, essentially? Like I thought that was like a very basic thing that most people would probably be like, no, we don't want endless immigration because like people really get this idea that California is like, oh, we just want more and more immigration. Like almost every immigrant I've met here, they get across the border and they're like, I don't want any more people following me from my country, right? So
maybe it's because you guys are so close to the demon portal known as Los Angeles.
Maybe. I mean, what do you mean by that?
Oh, it's just I mean, like, think it's just there's an attraction. There's just these different types of attractions, and when you have certain, I guess, like when you're involved in the level of various kind of secretive, all that crazy stuff. I mean, you're just going to attract probably more negative. You're probably going to, it's just going to attract things that way. I don't know. In my opinion, that's just my opinion.
You mean me specifically, or just the place?
No, like the area, like an area will attract, like energetically because of what's happening there.
I mean, yeah, I definitely agree. I
I meant like LA, like
I mean, I
look.
I don't.
Dude, everyone wants to go to LA. People in different countries want to go to LA.
I mean, I
Hey,
wanted
so
to
you
go to
know what the
LA.
roots of this is?
It's
I
all
was
I
just thinking about this. Sorry to interrupt you guys for a second. Oh, all right. So, like in ancient Greece, they would have plays and theaters and like comedy routines, right? But it was all political based. So they would have like an idea, right? So they would have an idea and they'd be like, oh, like this guy's a buffoon. You know what I'm saying? And they would like attack a certain, ideology, uh, but in a theatrical way. But that would rally the people behind it. You get what I'm saying? So that's how they always kind of controlled public perception in ancient Greece, was to throw like a play that dealt with a political topic, or a comedy. You get what I'm saying? Some form of media. I mean, and we're seeing that today. So it's like that's what's happening here, dude. It's like ancient Greece, man.
Real quick, really, the last thing I had to say for real was about the Andrew thing. Is that my suggestion was that they should just use like spitballs, because like I don't know if you've ever you ever done a spitball before, like through a straw. Like it's actually really fun, and um I don't know how many people the thing holds, but just go in there calm, and like first of all, they're not going to catch all of you. Second, it's because it's just a straw, and and then maybe like mid debate, just like 5 at a time, just unload, shoot them, and when they land all over them, like they're just gonna look foolish on camera, and like basically you're not gonna get caught. That was my idea. But no, I said Andrew probably like they realized that their debate was going to be so boring that they actually like just hired Control Dot. But it's on Zion. I mean,
Well, I think there's an argument that this is all like a PR firm put all this on, and because like actually, if you talk to some of these people that used to be professors, like there's this guy named something Hamamoto or whatever. He used to be a professor, I think at like UC Davis or something, and I've known other people who went to that college and other colleges like that, and he basically made the argument that a lot of these colleges are basically like the feds who didn't make it. So these guys are like undercover feds. And hey, Machine, and maybe Machine has heard of this before, but basically a lot of these professors and teachers and all these people, like they're kind of like theatrical production people that basically just like facilitate,
their lives depend on it. They got to make money.
Protest. Well, I mean, it's not really only about the money. It's about like facilitating like protests and like making a scene. I mean, if you think about it, all the way back to the '60s, at least this has been going on where we need to have a little dine in or sit in or whatever. Like it's always like some sort of theatrical thing to show like this thing. And so between PR firms and professors doing like theatrical like here in California, they did some recent protest about like no transphobia. We're against transphobia. It's like literally there's no transphobia in California. I mean, if there is, it's coming from immigrants, ironically. So it's like, it's not like people walking around like, oh, there's a trans person, let's go get them, or let's run away. Or I mean, it's like it's literally. Well, I mean, people do think that way. They just don't overtly show it because these people, probably I don't want to get my channel banned, but insert offensive comment here. So, but Machine, have you ever heard of professors putting on like theatrical productions to make something seem a certain way or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean that's what this kind of thing that I showed you guys looks like. I don't know if you guys saw it. It's Uncensored America, where they're going to protest the debate or whatever. So it might be canceled, and it could be that they paid a bunch of protesters to go do that, so that they say that it's controlled opposition, so that they don't have to have a debate because they know it's settled in advance whether they support or don't support. Like I was talking to Unseen Warfare, they're basically part of the same church, so it's kind of weird, dude.
Yeah. They are. I mean, what's the end goal of that? You know what I'm saying? If you're just both a part of the same thing and you're supposedly debating this, but in the long run, like, their hierarchies are fully about Zionism. They fully support it, and they're not against it. So even if Andrew speaks out against it, it doesn't matter. He's a layman, and so is this other guy. He's a layman. But I mean, as long as you're following along with your hierarchy, then you're a part of it. So it doesn't do anything, really. It's just talk.
Yeah, I was supposed to be on this show too. I just don't have time.
Sorry, I'm just kind of trolling with this. I'm like, I'm looking for that Uncensored America thing, and this is the first thing on my feed.
Wait, this is uncensored America?
No.
No,
Yo,
this is actually one of Andrew Wilson's former friends, I guess, or whatever. So. I won't.
what if we make it a trend? What if we make it a trend? Oh, I guess no, never mind. Terrible idea. Skip that.
But yeah, like think about this. Like, let's say somebody does, let's say side with Andrew, right? And they're like, yeah, like Andrew's right. I'm gonna join that church. It's like, dude, you're joining the same church as apostate prophet. You know what I mean? They're in communion. So either way, like, if someone, no matter what side they pick in this debate, they're on the same team. Yeah.
Yeah, they got a Project Blue Balls over here trying to make everybody wait until 4:45. So they're going to start. They supposedly want to start this debate at 7:45 in Asheville, North Carolina. What the fuck?
Man, I wish
Nobody
I
got
was
time for
kind of
that?
there. I wish I was there, honestly.
Oh, Myron Gaines, women deserve less speech. Actually, I actually like watching these things because it's like literally public trolling is what they're doing. It's like let's just do. I mean, like Alex Stein and people like that, like that's kind of what I'm saying is like I don't want to just keep saying the same shit over and over again, but like Owen Benjamin really broke this down. Like people think that like a lot of these things are like have anything organic about them. I mean, the only organic thing about it is the people that they are tricked into showing up at these things, right? Like and react to it because these things are totally designed in advance to basically get maximum outrage or maximum whatever. Like they literally like are
Yeah,
pranking. They're
they
doing like
basically
live
can't fail. Like,
pranking. Yeah. Well, it's about the distribution. If you got the distribution to get the word out and you won't get censored by YouTube or Fox News or whatever, then essentially it's just all about distribution. Essentially, I mean, it's the oldest racket in the book. Like if you can get it's kind of like if you just go do this in public, you'll be put in jail for like public disturbance, or you'll just be called a drug addict and left alone if you're in a blue area, right? So, but if you actually like want to, do this, for some sort of whatever reason, you're just not going to get platformed essentially. Like if we go try to do our own event on the campus of one of these colleges, like I'm pretty sure that we will not be allowed to go. I mean, I think we should try for sure. I think it would be worth a try to go say, okay, let's go do an anti-tech or pro-Christian or whatever, or whatever, like just go try it and see what happens, and see if we can get distribution. I'm pretty sure we won't, but I think that's what this is about. It's like I'm trying to think of the right way to describe it.
Go
But
to the biggest. No, if you're gonna cash
Uncensored
row,
America, honest and fun
if you really
conversation.
want to figure out.
What? Okay, sorry, I had to mute you for a second because you're echoing really loud. But yeah, so let me read this thing about Uncensored America. Honest and fun conversations with controversial figures to fight censorship and cancel culture. Registered 501c3 nonprofit organization. And I've looked at the website before. I encourage other people to go look at the website, but I don't know. I'll let you guys say what you have to say. I mean, I think it's nothing that's not known already, I guess, but it's like, it's just interesting, like the obviousness of the example that they're displaying,
I'll be right back. I gotta run and do something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but it's like, how did they get on NPR? How did they get on all these news?
How did they get on all these news?
You know what I mean? As a nonprofit group, so obviously they pimped out Modern Day Debate. And it's a much bigger organization, right? You could tell when they had the other debate where they had Destiny and Milo Yiannopoulos, where they popped up one day and they had a random debate between those two. And it was like a huge deal. And it was on this channel, Uncensored America. It was the same channel. So, yeah, they pop up. They're obviously a conglomerate think tank that's running a bunch of these groups, the Tim Pool and all that stuff. They're obviously very much related to the Tenet Media Group, because all the same groups show up in the Tenet Media that show up in this, namely the Tim Pool thing. So, yeah, so it's pretty obvious that this is some type of pogo operation.
Yeah, it's right there, buddy. I shared I shared the link to everybody, and nobody came. So I don't know how we're gonna get like our numbers back up for subscribers and stuff, but it's like, it's just kind of crazy. It's like these guys have they literally have Milo Yiannopoulos as like in Destiny, and all these people as like the main people. So it's just funny, the Alex Stein, all this. So it's like they're obviously pushing pseudo conservative. Like I actually like Myron Gaines the best. Actually, even Milo Yiannopoulos, at least he's entertaining. I mean, he's a satanic, it. But at least he's funny to watch. Alex Stein's pretty funny too. So it's like, but anyways, do you guys have anything to say on that? I mean, I have actually like real prep that I want to do. I mean, I actually have like show prep. I have Browns boy. I'm gonna mute you for now or can you mute your? Okay, cool. Sorry, it's just like really screechy when you're not talking, please. But what's on you guys' mind today?
Yeah, pretty much. Just chilling, just thinking about this type of stuff. I prepared a lot of shit. I think they're not going to be talking about Schofield Reference Bible. So I prepared a video on Schofield Reference Bible. I got another video about the connection between Shabbat and Trump and Putin. So that should be pretty good. Another huge red flag that people are not looking at, right, is the connection between different groups and Trump and Putin and Israel, right, and how those are the same side essentially, right? So and then on top of that all, they're not really looking at critiques going back. So I have one by Malcolm X, right, closer to when the conflict started, and looking at a critique there against Zionism by Malcolm X. So I got different stuff to bring to the table. I don't know how much I'll get through it, but definitely way beyond this debate, I have a whole entire, master sort of thesis on, on Zionism itself, and that I could spread around. So that'll be either in this part or the second part of this video. But yeah, I think there's going to be lots of information that they conveniently gloss over. So whoever shows up, they'll get an extra added benefit. And yeah, I mean, yesterday we had almost 15 people in there, right, when I was doing the show. So I mean regularly on the show. I mean, sometimes on the show I've been sitting there doing a full speed ahead presentation and only been 12 people watching me. So so we'll get back in no time. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, no, I'm not like lamenting. I'm just saying it's like it'd be nice. Like if I just wish there was a way to like, just kind of like branch out and just find new people coming in all the time. Like I don't know the right way to go about that. I think TikTok and stuff like that can work, but I mean it's actually like work to actually even just clipping shit up is actually like it's actually a job. It's like a full time. Like just me clipping stuff. It's like it takes time, and then if you actually have to censor something that's being said or clip it out, it's even more time. So it's like a full time thing just to kind of make shorts and all that. Now I can't even do that much, so it's kind of like I guess I'll just have to focus on this channel until this one gets banned or something. So I'm just going to play a couple seconds of this for a second. I just want to I want to show you guys an example. If you haven't seen this Myron Gaines footage, this might not be the one I saw, but I think it'll give you an idea. I think it's very indicative of like what these people are doing. It's kind of funny.
Are you a man or a woman?
I'm asking you. Do I deserve more or less?
Well, probably less.
Even now, when my voice is lower than yours?
Even less now. Do you know how to make a sandwich?
Yeah, I do. Want me to teach you?
No, thank you. That's a woman's job.
I really think your ideology is interesting. How do I apply it to my lesbian relationships?
Oh, man, they're trying to shut us down, man. Shut it down. Not fucking leaving!
What the hell?
We have a... What's up, man? How are you? I guess I could come into that after.
It's my work.
What's up, bro?
Work. I seen some of your podcasts and stuff like that. I haven't watched the full thing, but I really just want to know, like, why do you think women deserve less? Because it's like a controversial. Obviously, it's going to catch people's attention.
Sure.
They see it.
Sure. When I say women deserve less, it's for a multitude of different reasons, but I'll just focus on, like, let's say dating for now, right? So guys have this, warped ideology that being a gentleman and being super nice and, being caring makes you more attractive to women. But the reality is, attraction and arousal are two different things. And by being a nice guy, what ends up happening a lot of times is you get stuck in the friend zone. And what I tell guys, and I talk about this in my book, guys got to give women less. If you look at the cover, I have money there, relationships, social media, and time. And the reason for that is because we live in a deregulated sexual marketplace. And what that basically means is, assuming two parties are have the age of consent, anyone could hook up. Now, we thought this would be a good idea in the 60s with the explosion of feminism and birth control, etc. But what ended up happening was when you leave women to their own devices, they date the best guys that they can get. And that problem's been exacerbated as they become more educated and made more money. So it's left a lot of normal guys out of the realm. So what I tell guys is you need a woman that's going to reciprocate that attention, because we're in a position now
that sounds wrong in so many ways.
Leverage, and a lot of guys are over here.
Like, women are not dating the best guys they could get. Like, they're just not. You know,
Yeah,
and,
well,
and dating is
yeah.
the problem. You know,
Well,
the fact
well,
that they're dating, you know,
see,
and they're
see, no, see, I could see what he would be saying if he said it more precisely, but yeah, the way he framed that is extremely liberal. It's like women make good great decisions on their own. First of all, that's see like he's
that's right.
automatically so he's already conceding that point right there in what he said, which is extremely weak. It actually undermines his argument, which is fascinating that he would do that. Personally, you know, it's like they date the best men they can find.
Yeah, and like he's living in a deregulated sexual marketplace and is teaching men how to succeed in that environment. So he's adapted to it. You know, yet he wants to change it.
Right. Well,
So it's like, wait, you know, and the way he said it, he's like deregulated sexual marketplace. Like, are you buying pussy? Like, what is going on? I mean, this is so crazy.
yeah, it's a very interesting setup already. I mean, I'm just going to skip around a little bit because I saw some of these clips on here. I just want to see victim one. And the fact they calls them victims is funny too.
Hi.
Hey, so I really think your ideology is interesting. How do I apply it to my lesbian relationships?
Okay. What is the goal? Is the goal to get married? Is the goal to have a serious long-term boyfriend that will like? What's the goal?
It's to have a lesbian relationship.
Oh well, you guys are useless to society. So.
Old Sleepy over here. What the hell? Give this chick a cup of coffee. What the fuck is wrong with
So
her?
should I value her less or more?
Well, I mean, you know, you guys can scissor and talk and have a good time, but you guys don't really provide for society.
Okay, so thank you.
No problem. Friend zoned is my point.
Crashed out.
It's easy to identify though. If the relationship not going where you want it to go, then you can walk away.
You got to understand that a lot of guys are socially retarded and not able to understand when a woman isn't that into them. I'm sure every woman in here has been hit on by a guy that made her feel uncomfortable and he just simply didn't get it. And there's a reason for that. Women, you know, the one compliment I will give women is they're socially superior to men. They're able to pick up on things quicker. They're able to read the room better. They're able to assess danger. And the reason for that is because they're the weaker gender physically, right? So since they can't make up for it with strength and brutality, if a dude's a little off, he's like ticking like this or he's a weirdo, women pick up on that immediately and like, okay, danger zone, let me get out of here. So that's why, like, what the hell? So that's the problem. So what's up, man? How are you? What's your name?
Hi, how are you? My name is Trey. It's nice to meet you.
How are you, Trey?
So I heard your views on lesbians a moment ago, and I'm just curious how those views transfer to gay men. Do you believe they don't exist as well? Because you did say that lesbian relationships cannot exist because men are more multifaceted than women. That was your main argument point on lesbianism prior, and I'm just curious how that carries to.
So what are my thoughts on gay men?
Yeah.
Well, you guys are kind of useless to society too.
Fair. Yeah. I am pretty damn useless.
Yeah. You know,
but not
like-
because I'm not having kids, just because I'm crazy. But
Yeah,
that's
from the
different.
nuclear
what's
family
wrong with
perspective,
this
right? I
guy?
say that kind of,
Like-
you know, as a joke, but yeah, I mean, I think the backbone of any thriving society is the nuclear family,
Like,
and
go
if people
home.
aren't contributing to that,
You're a
I
Nancy
think it's
boy.
problematic for society. So, you know, gay men and lesbian women don't contribute to that, unfortunately. And I don't think gay men should be able to adopt children either. I think that's crazy. I don't think lesbian women should be able to adopt children either. I think kids need to be protected at all costs, and exposing them to.
Both created in God's image.
Well, when I say that, I mean as in the man needs to be the leader, right? And the Bible obviously talks about this too, right? It goes God, man, then woman. My problem is when I say women deserve less, I mean as it's vague on purpose, right? Depending on the context that we're talking about here. But you know, in this regard, when it comes to, you know, having a family, being married, etc., it means that the man needs to be the leader, right? Now, you know, I think the problem is that a lot of guys go into relationships thinking that their woman is equal to them and they can split the check and all this other stuff. I'm a big proponent of the nuclear family. I don't think women should work. I think men should be bearing that burden. But the problem is that we have this egalitarian mindset where we're telling men
You
to
got
treat
two
their women as
claps.
equals, and that's just not how it goes. You know, I'm a big proponent. If you have the authority, if you have the responsibility of taking care of her, you should also have the authority over her to tell her what to do.
It's okay.
Because let's be honest here, all the Abrahamic religions know that when you leave a woman to their own devices, they fuck up.
Mhm. So
That's
now,
a Jew right there.
talking about Abrahamic religions, we're going to focus on the Old Testament and how
Say that again.
No, I was just saying that looks like a Jew because he came up there. He's like, I'm gonna reinterpret the Bible, including Genesis. It's like, yeah, you're just a Jew. Right.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like he's saying Myron's saying some things that are true, but it's just intersped with just intermixed with it's like obviously he's got like some main talking points, but then it's like it's weird they have him up there as like the arbiter of whatever, and it's like okay, so then everything just falls upon him. It's like okay, now is he supposed to be like Socrates sitting in the middle of the school, or
But that's wild. Like he just said like a basic opinion. That's like barrier to entry. For most religious communities, and yeah, it just seemed like yeah, like it was pretty obvious. It was a Captain Obvious, the point that he made, for sure.
Us? Oh man, here we go. Hello.
Do I deserve more or less?
Are you a man?
Wait, what? You don't know if that's a man or a woman?
Us? Oh man, here we go. Hello.
Do I deserve more or less?
Are you a man or a woman?
I'm asking you. Do I deserve more or less?
Well, probably less.
Even now, when my voice is lower than yours.
Even less now. I knew something was off. Saw that Adam's apple. I was like, oh, here we go. What was that? It's oil.
Say you got
That's
your
probably
first
a man,
girlfriend
too.
and you're like 30.
Well,
yeah, I'm not
that
saying
creature.
hello to you, so let's just skip the pleasantries.
Sure.
So why are
Yeah, I
you?
was gonna say, can someone help her?
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming up. I appreciate
Uh, so are your views on women based on data or personal rejection?
Oh,
Here we
damn.
go. The whole you're an incel thing. Okay.
Because on a podcast about 2 months ago, didn't you just say you got your first girlfriend and you're like 30?
Oh.
Wow, she really thinks that's known. Number one, I've had a girlfriend now for a few years,
I'm
not
so
2
sorry.
months. And it's an open relationship. I do what I want, and she's closed on her end.
That's embarrassing.
That's embarrassing, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, look at all the people here going crazy. So here's the reality, right? So let me give you guys a biological reality here.
What does this have to do with my
So
question?
he doesn't
I'm
even
asking
follow
you.
the
Views
type
from
of
data or
traditions that he's promoting. Right. So that's the thing with a lot of these guys is that, and I actually heard that being, common at this point. Like polyamory, either among the man or the woman in the relationship only, and then not in the other way. So, so that seems like a very modern way of doing things, right? It's like, because you need whores to, like always, have sex with, right? So, like, it's an environment where you understand that you could always have whores, right? But you also want a stable relationship, right? So that's pretty interesting compromise, but I just think it's interesting when it's on one side of the relationship. It's either the man or the woman that's doing it, and then it's closed on the other end.
Well, I mean, but wouldn't you say that's more? Is there an argument that it's more traditional that the man would have openness, but women wouldn't because of child know who the baby is or psychological damage, or do you think that's all just like fake? Because I think that someone like trad culture makes interesting arguments about that, and I think that it's hard to compare yourself to like a jungle people or something like that. But I mean, it is very interesting the way he just kind of frames it like, well, I'm a Muslim and I'm I got open relationship even though
but that's the thing is that you're supposed to form a contract with those other women, and you're only allowed 4 women. So it's not like as a Muslim you go and sleep around, as a man, and then your wife has to stay chaste, so that's actually not true. Right?
Well, what about like concubines or like war brides, or does it?
Oh
is it
yeah. I mean, they're not going to war. There's no war slaves. Like we're not like there's not even a conflict where you would have to enslave another population, like today.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
not saying that like it's traditional. I'm just saying like is there a concept of concubines or I guess
yeah,
whores or whatever?
yeah. They have it in the Bible. They have it in in the Quran, right? But again, it's like if two parties, two like cities like go to war that are actually polities in and of themselves, right? Now the citizens of that, city, they have no polity left, right? So they're either to be assimilated into the new form of society, right? Either now, some societies they use, basically a program of indentured servitude, which we would call slavery today. But yeah, I don't think that it's like the Atlantic slave trade or anything where you just basically you're forced to work or else you have to die
Right.
or something like that. Yeah.
Right. Well, what I mean is like under like, is there any form of Islam where it's like, okay, men are married to one or more women, and
Like,
then the guys.
let's put it this way. If you're a warlord and you like conquered a territory for the Muslims, yeah, you get like some concubines. But none of these guys today are doing like Myron Gaines is not doing that. Right? So
Well,
so he's
he's doing that culturally under the culture.
yeah. I mean he's doing it for anti-Islam, right? He's dominating. He's spreading, like I said, he's spreading non-Muslim culture. So he's definitely conquering. He's doing a conquest in the other direction for sure. But he's not spreading Islam. He's not spreading a state of Islam by going and
But
sleeping
but
around.
but it's just funny
that's
that.
totally false.
But it's just funny that like Andrew Wilson won't work with you, but he'll work with Myron. That's funny, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. They'll work with Coomer degenerates, Coomer gremlins. They're right. They'll work with that.
That is really funny though, and it's like they'll go on the boat with them and everything. I mean, it's like, I don't know if they did, but I assume.
Oh, and what about I was floored yesterday when when they sent me that clip of Jim Bob. He's literally saying I'm impersonating TBE and EBT on the internet with EBT, who he literally called out in his chat for calling Seraphim Rose an F slur. So,
But now he's like,
he's
asking him to like, can you help me
to
arbitrate the truth of the matter?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, can you arbitrate truth at this point? For me, it's like, okay.
Yeah, enslaved by the truth. So there you go. AKA, whatever. I mean, it's just funny. It's but sorry, I'm a little distracted, as you probably can get.
Yeah, control, yeah. I mean, empowered by lies. And really.
But yeah, anyway, I was just gonna say, it's so I guess what I'm saying is like, let's say that let's just use. Is there any country now that you would say is actually Muslim? Like, would you consider Pakistan an actually Muslim country or?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, Pakistan is definitely a secular country. But that's what's so funny is that when you talk to like some of these wingnats, they think it like that Pakistan is like run by Sharia law. They're so detached. Right? So yeah, so they're totally,
Yeah. So
like, for example, like Andrew Wilson literally said that the Taliban got rid of feminism in Afghanistan. That's the dumbest statement I've ever heard. Like, you mean white people installed a militant force in there to fight the Russians? That ended up, creating some sort of weird religious laws, to enslave the population, and he's like, oh yeah, this is actually a positive thing. And how would they enforce that in America? Right. So this is the kind of rhetoric like where there's almost no nuance behind what they're saying. Right?
Yeah, and again, even if you take it at face value, it's like, okay, so should Christians just be the Taliban then? It's like, right? Like if your mission is to get rid of feminism, then it's like it's kind of a weird, you know, like we want to get rid of feminism.
Yeah, it's like we don't like Muslims, but we want to be the Taliban. It's like, all right, it's like,
but we just want to be the redneck, drink beer, even though that's against, whatever. You get it. Smoke cigarettes, drink beer, and but so what I'm saying is like, okay, let's say that if there ever was a Islamic society that was generally close to what you consider Islam, would there be like, okay, men have like, okay, we have X amount, like every man could have one wife in theory at least, right? Would he ever be allowed to have concubines or sleep with other women and still remain under Islam outside of the four wives?
the goal of an Islamic society would be for there not to be any women that are concubines, but to have every woman be in a marriage relationship.
Right. So that would be the goal, but would there be any like extraneous circumstances where it would be like, this is not ideal, but it is permissible for lack of a better solution? I'm just asking because I would actually like to know this for Christianity too. I'm not just asking for Islam. I'm just asking for your perspective because.
I mean, not that I know of. I mean, seems pretty straightforward. I mean, right? Like if you're going to sleep with a woman, you basically have to provide for her. Right? And there could be a situation where you provide for that woman and then divorce her, or something like that. But that's then considered a temporary marriage. You still have to abide by the laws of marriage while you do that. So there's some people that have some like temporary marriage, but that's if you go abroad, if you're like traveling or something like that. And again, it would be pertaining to if you're in a campaign for war, because if you go for a war back in the day, you may come back 10 years later. It's not like you're just going for 1 or 2 years. If you have to go to a campaign in another country, right? You may never make it back.
Right. So it's all like so basically just like, don't take this the wrong way, but circumstantial depending on the situation. And
yeah, they're doing what Jews do, which they're like, look, there's a law pertaining to this, so let's just stretch it, and just use it as a loophole and then use it to justify our modern actions. Right, but that has nothing to do with Islam. It's like you're just
right. I got you. Yeah, no, I get it, and I think that there's something like for me in Christianity, like I don't necessarily I have mixed views on it because I think like the fact that we don't have the ability to have more than one wife, I see it as not. I have mixed feelings on it. I don't know what the right solution is. I definitely think that ideally no women would be whores or concubines or anything like that, mainly because there's always going to be a motive that has nothing to do with serving a need. Does that make sense? Like it's going to be like profit driven or abuse driven, or you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you're trying to, in theory, solve a problem per se, right? The reality is it's not going to be that way, right? And I think that that's kind of where, like you're saying, these people are stretching something into something that to excuse themselves or to excuse the way that they're adapting to the situation as okay, rather than just taking a look at the situation as it is from a first principles standpoint. not to drag Aristotelian logic into it, but you get what I'm saying. Like they're not even taking it from like the religious standpoint, and I think that's the funny part about this whole, like the fact that they have Andrew representing Orthodox Christianity, and it's like, okay, well, how do we react to, and the fact that he's just saying like he's taking the anti-Zionist position, I assume, right? When he's clearly stated that he's not anti-Zionism, so I think that's kind of ironic in a way. But I don't want to get too far out the subject, but I think it is very interesting the way they just kind of, like you said, just reinterpret it. But I mean, I think that in general, women are safer and better off in a relationship It doesn't mean that that's always the case, but I think that, I mean, I can tell you like where I'm at here and seeing all these women who are, quote unquote free. I think that the fruit kind of speaks for itself in a sense. Does that make sense? And it doesn't mean that it's always been good one way or the other, but it's just a bizarre way that they're framing it. I'm just going to play a couple more minutes of this, and I'm surprised nobody else showed up yet.
Hello, sir.
Make sure to hit the gym as well.
Sir. Hey,
Hey, just being honest, man.
sir.
Yeah, look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Sir,
hey,
if you're here to
the
have
girls
a
aren't gonna fuck you,
conversation,
man.
I'm trying to have one with you.
Like the girls aren't gonna fuck you, bro. White knighting is
like
not
her.
gonna do it.
Okay, hi. Would you like to have an actual conversation?
This is fucking awesome. All right, what are you gonna say? Go ahead.
All right, here. I'm here to have an actual like debate with you, okay? I'm not
Sure.
here. I'm not here to
Debate.
antagonize you or villainize you. I want to understand you, and I hope maybe you'd want to understand me. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Sure.
so
What
what
the
I want to
hell?
understand is your viewpoint that women deserve less, or that you think men deserve more?
Well, two things can be true, right?
That's a good.
So
That's a good question.
I think guys need to be in a position where they are the dominant and the leader in the relationship.
So I would like to understand why exactly do you think that? Is it what is causing this? Is it like an instinctual thing? Do you think it's based off biology, psychology?
What in
religion,
particular?
belief? Like the idea that the man should be dominant. What is the backing thought process for this?
Well, it's how society has thrived for centuries. You know, the man is the head of the household. He's a leader. He protects and provisions. And this is how we've been able to build up the society we enjoy now. And it's only with modernity and feminism that women have been able to kind of do the things that they do. But at the end of the day, I would argue most women want a traditional man who's going to be a provider, going to be a protector, and adhere to these traditional masculine traits.
Okay, so let me ask you a question about this, sir, if you don't mind. So
Sure.
what would you say that over time, generally speaking, with how society has come, how culture has come to where we are at this current point, are you content with how the world is today? With society, are you happy with how society has turned out? What exactly do you have any issues with modern society?
Well, I mean, look, obviously there's pluses and negatives, but I do think that modernity has led to the overall degradation of society. It's because we don't prioritize the family anymore.
So is the issue less that women deserve less, or that we should put more of a focus on traditionalism within the family?
Well, that's kind of the same thing from before. Again, men need to be in a different position now where they need to be able to vet out women properly for them to be their wives. Because the thing that sucks for guys now is that most women want to be married, but they're not necessarily wife material. Everyone wants to get married, but no one wants to be a wife is basically what I mean. So I think we're a lesbian. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, anyway, so yeah, that's what I think it is. Guys need to really focus on the family, but before they can even do that, they need to be able to go in with their eyes wide open with how society is and how we're playing the dating game, because we have more to lose.
Okay,
so
well,
he's not doing that.
I understand where you're coming.
He's definitely not looking at how society is, because the thing is that it's not that women get to do whatever they want. It's that they're just as regulated as everyone else, but what's being imposed on them, is the technology, right? So it's like they pretty much found a way to have the conversation about modernism without talking about technology and blaming it all on liberalism and feminism. So it's almost like an entire gatekeep operation, right? Where it's like, let's talk about modernism while not talking about philosophy or technology, right? We just talk about social issues. We're just talking about feminism.
Well, and kind of what you said to me before. It's like you said, it's not only who rules you, it's like how. So it's like look at all the problems that we're experiencing today. It's gotten exponentially worse as the technology's exponentially gotten more intrusive, right? So it's like they just totally sidestep that aspect of it. And also, like you said, with the philosophy, it's like as the philosophy has proliferated out, it's exponentially gotten worse and worse. And so it's like, is it the fact that people have this idea of feminism, or is it the fact that it's been proliferated out and it's taken on a life of its own in a sense? And I think, I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of a, I don't know how to really contextualize what I'm trying to get. I mean, her questions are actually really good, and I think that like I generally kind of agree with how he's framing it from a normie standpoint, but it's definitely, you notice that it's, and again, I'm going to sound like Brown's boy now, but fifth wave feminism. Nick Volt, hit. You're definitely free to join. The link is shit. I don't know if it's pinned, but it's definitely there. I don't know how to pin it, but it's here. Nick Volt, you can definitely join if you want. But you know, I don't know. I think it's just interesting. It's like,
well, if I could just answer his question, it says, "What does technology have to do with it?" Well, in a lot of these debates, right, the women will argue that basically technology puts women on an equal playing field. Right, this is because of the Industrial Revolution. So you'll see that actually feminist ideology and the Industrial Revolution seem to coincide. Right, so you have the case where you don't have the proper technological state for a certain ideology to proliferate until you have the proper technological capacity, right, that actually equalizes men and women, and then you have the ideology proliferate, right, because they've been equalized by the technology, right? So once it becomes a sort of scientific fact, it's easier to sort of quote unquote enforce or impose, right? Is essentially how I'd go with that, right? And that's just a small example, right? But obviously there's more nuance to the issue. But yeah, I've seen at least 10 of these debates, feminism with Andrew Wilson and some of the other people. They literally always bring up technology, and they bring up the Industrial Revolution, right? And usually Andrew has to say, well, it's men who are making the machines, right? So, so it may level the playing field, but it's still, on the whole, men that are building them, right? Most of the science, departments or whatever are male, he'll say, or something like that, right? Yeah, and it's almost time to go do the show as well. I think you guys mentioned that the debate is pushed back now. But here it says it'll be here in 12 minutes. So
sorry, I had to step away from the computer for 1 second. So
yeah, but it's so funny on the debate. It says Christian versus Christian. What? Shouldn't it say Zionist versus anti-Zionist, right? Pretty weird, huh?
it is pretty weird. Nick Volt, welcome. And Machine, you're about to start your show, right? So I think
we gotta. I'll send you the link, Nick. You can also join. I think there'll be like a couple more, maybe like 2 or 3 more people watching over there as well.
Oh,
so we'll be able to engage with a couple more people.
Yeah, this is basically a pre-show that I just did impromptu, but just to kind of get some people together. But I think Nick, I mean, I'm definitely interested to see what you think about this issue that we're discussing.
Yeah, sounds good.
What did you think so far about this?
Well, I'm still listening to it. I haven't seen. Well, I have seen this video round, but I haven't actually got a chance to watch it. This University of South Carolina thing.
What do you make of Andrew Wilson and these kind of guys going around to all the universities? I think you know a little bit about that. I mean, what do you think
Yeah,
about like stirring the pot?
I think it's good. I think it's good. We actually had some of these people come around to our university. I was disappointed our students didn't engage. I mean, at the university, you're meant to be challenged. I enjoy it. I've always sort of supported people. I mean, in fact, the more crazy they are, the better. Um, I like when they do it in this format. Like, it looks like this is actually like not just snippets. I have a problem with where they just they'll ask random people questions and they'll find like the five people who don't know anything or the five people who say something stupid. Um, I found among college students, you actually find a wide ranging amount of opinions. It's not just liberal or just very conservative. But feminism is a fun subject. I was forced to learn it, and I found it kind of interesting. Like there are all these different, like they have the first wave of feminism, second wave feminism, and they all come with their own like sort of differences. It's actually like this huge topic. What did you forget?
Do you generally like feminism? Do you think generally feminism is a good thing, or?
Well, I mean, again, that feminism itself. I mean, not to get too academic about it, but I mean, feminism by itself is such a wide ranging thing. That being said, if feminism is that women um, are to be treated as men, yeah, of course. I mean, it's not that it is. I think some of them take it too far where it's I can survive without men. I mean, if women couldn't survive without men any more than men couldn't survive without women. I do take a strong opinion when it comes to the treatment of women in sort of some more extreme cases. While I was a college student, I was very active in groups which were trying to eliminate what they call female genital mutilation. I take a very dim view on covering women or any of that silliness. So I guess in that sense, I'm a feminist.
Do you think that circumcision should be outlawed as well, or?
That's always the other side of it. That in itself is a complicated topic. I mean, they are documented and real medical reasons for the procedure. Because it's a sensitive topic, and I'm a guy, I tend not to talk about it that much. But doing it for religious reasons, no, I of course not. Or even doing it after, when a child is born, sure. But later on in life, no. Um, because from what I understand, it has the same effect that you got a lot of nerves there. It sort of desensitizes it.
Right.
But I guess if
Well,
you've never had it one way or the other, you wouldn't actually know the difference. But
Right. Well, and I guess that's it. You could make the same argument for female stuff, and then because it kind of leads very close to the whole transgender topic as well, in a sense. Like, does somebody have the right for body modification to whatever? And I mean, again, I think it's one of these things like.
well, adults do. Adults do. I mean, if an adult woman wants to do what they call female mutilation, I mean, I guess you could call male circumcision a sort of mutilation, but yeah, then they're free to do what they want. But anything being forced, of course not.
Sure, but I mean, but what if you were to what if there was like a new like social media trend, like I want to get my leg amputated, and so like let's say that 5% of the population decides that it's like,
well, it's more
trendy thing
what's
to
more
do, right?
important, like at what age they should be allowed to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you voluntarily get your leg amputated, it's like okay, but don't come running to
No,
the
or like
state for
no, or like
assistance.
or just female to male. Yeah, like obviously you agree that people should be allowed to change genders, right?
Well, again, if they're an adult, I mean,
Okay, so
adults
only
are allowed.
adults. Okay.
Yeah. Now, should that be paid for by tax dollars? That then it becomes complicated. It's um, I mean, that's why this whole thing has become such a hotbed political issue, because when you take the argument to its extreme, I mean, it does sound pretty barbaric. Like, can parents authorize sex changes for their children? I mean, how do we know that the children really understand who they are? I mean, not being transgender myself, I don't understand what it feels like. I mean, I have some friends who are it, but it's, then it's like, what about federal prisoners? What about this? Um, I don't know.
Yeah, and,
But
and I think that a lot of this is like we're just on such a fast moving train. Like it's kind of like surgery, like right, like obviously surgery can be life saving and life improving, right? But then also like you know there's a lot of plastic surgery that's just sold out of vanity to women. Now, is that bad for them or good for them? Even accounting for like the fact that mistakes will happen. Like,
Well, I'll say this. I'll say this. One of my guilty pleasures is this 90 Day Fiance. Okay, and I don't know what is it about like when the women start the show, they look pretty, and then they do these things. I swear, their lips look like they just walked through a bunch of wasps. They do these things to their face, and uh, I ask my guy friends, does anybody find that attractive? Anybody? And I struggle to find any men who find that sort of awkward body modification attractive. Do they have a right to do it? Absolutely. Could it possibly be some sort of body, what do they call it, body dysmorphia, and they're in need of medical care? Maybe. I don't know. But, you can't, I mean, who am I to say? I would prefer that my wife
sure,
doesn't do those kind of things.
sure, but I think that's the thing is like where
I
where
mean, she
does
doesn't
like
do those things, but
but that's the thing is like where does the sickness of society meet the road of people's quote unquote mental health or whatever you want to call it, like. And I think that's the whole thing, that they frame it as it's either, well, you're mentally ill, or they frame it as society's sick. And so like really there's always an intersection between the two, right? Where
yeah, there
you know,
is. There is.
you know
Um, I mean, the thing is, I mean, we live in a free society, and that's what really makes it complicated. Uh, do we as humans have the right to make, and I'm not saying a transgender surgery is something negative, but I'm just saying, as a human, like, let's take an extreme example, like amputating our legs. Do we have the right to do something which is inherently not in our best interest? And if we say we don't, I mean, who's going to stop us? I mean, should we pass laws and say that we can't do these kind of things? And I mean, who wants to live in a society like that?
well, well, that's the thing is like, and I think that's where the technology things come up. I mean, I'm going to do if it's possible, I intend to do a a review of Jurassic Park in the relative near future. And again, it comes back to that thing of like, just because you can, should you, right? And
That
you
that's a
know,
great point. That is an and that I mean, I know you guys talk about technology a lot. We can't stop technology, and there's one fundamental rule about technology: if it can be done, it will be done.
Oh
And
yeah.
so it's not a matter of how do we stop it; it's how are we going to live with it.
Right. Right.
I mean, they already cloned that. I mean, back in the '90s, they did the sheep, great, but now, they resurrected a wolf. It's. I mean, what about altering genes? I mean, do parents have the right to decide? Well, I want my child to have certain traits. Now, we're gonna have the technology to do that. What are we gonna do with it?
I mean, what if they pass a law say you can alter your baby's genes, but they all have to be sub-Saharan African with an IQ of 70 or below? I mean, are we okay? You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
or the opposite. They say you all have to have blonde hair and blue eyes and 170 IQ or above. I mean, it's like
Or,
either way
or,
you go. I mean, it's like.
or if it becomes a money thing, if parents have the ability to um, pay for gene editing for their child, well, then, they get super babies. And now we're back to that evil word, which we call eugenics. But you can't stop technology. I mean, unless we decide to go all nuke ourselves and bomb ourselves back to the steam age, and then maybe we'll we'll try this all over again and be better about it. But I mean,
Well,
the problem,
well, sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah.
isn't it? Do you find any irony in the fact that, and this is not, this sounds like I'm being a dick to you, but this is actually just pointed more at like the general audience who there's only one person watching now. But again, hopefully this will be repeated out somewhere in the future. But the argument to me is always funny is like you need this kind of like somewhat totalitarian, pseudo totalitarian, whatever you want to call it, capitalist society in order to fund all the research, in order to do all this, because there's no like real profit motive in like, did you ask for a new iPhone every year? Is that like something that people need? Like to be honest with you, I'm still stuck in the 90s where like, I can send an email to people all around the world and instant message people and maybe jump on a phone call with
yeah,
do I need all this extra technology? Is it really improving? And again, it's like you look at the society, like people are kind of like down and out. They don't have good jobs. They can't really afford a home. They never actually own any real property. We're kind of in a subscription to life kind of model,
I 100% agree with you. I mean, we're trying to get the public not to own anything. Everything's a subscription. I mean, I saw that Volvo even tried it with a car. Didn't work that well, but it's coming. I mean, even with the whole all new iPhone, I mean, you're probably old enough to remember when cell phones first came out, you had to get locked into a contract. Like you had to have the same provider for a certain amount of years, and then they ruled that well, that's illegal. Well, then they turned around and said, okay, let's make a phone $800 and say, oh, here, I'll give it to you, but then you can pay for it monthly, and you basically got back into a contract. And then when you're done paying off that phone, hey, for only $15 more, here's an iPhone 12. It's got 9 more cameras on it. And I mean, even I run into a problem when it comes with software, which I used to own. Now to get the latest, they go, well, you can't really own it. You got to pay like $400 or $500 a year. Or even students with their textbooks, they don't even own their textbooks anymore. They just buy a license for the semester. Everything's going to that. You're not going to own anything, and that's not good.
Right. Well, and again, you could make the argument if we're living in a very, homogeneous society. Like if I'm in Norway and 99% of everybody is Norwegian and we all have the same genetics, we have the same language, we have the same culture, we eat the same food. Like, okay, I can kind of see it, right? But now we're like, it's like, by rule and force of law, everyone has to be mixed together. We're going to literally, subsidize housing. So, the urban youth is going to move into the middle of a retirement settlement in, by the beach because we need diversity as a part of the plan. It's like, again, I'm not saying that it's in theory a bad idea, but the reality is like, why do people who have literally, 5% in common need to live right next to each other? Like, what's that all about?
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a lot of points there. It definitely shouldn't be engineered. It just should be natural. It's here in the United States, everybody sort of looks different, but I've heard arguments that, well, certain neighborhoods look, they all look sort of homogenous and other neighborhoods don't. And so what are you supposed to do about that? There are a multitude of complicated reasons which have led to that. Not to mention that just human evolution, we tend to live around people which they don't have to look like us necessarily. I mean, diversity is not the color of your skin, but rather we all have the same ideas, values, this and that. I mean, I live in suburbia. I wouldn't say it's homogenous, but it is suburbia. While we may have different last names, we all sort of think the same. We all sort of vote the same. We all sort of have certain values, and why would a government want to say, well, now I got to force this upon you? And I know we've tried this social experiment before. We've tried it before.
Right. So like for example, like I'm sure you've seen what's happening in Europe, like where they just like, let's take a bunch of sub-Saharan people and just drop them off in the middle of your suburban little city out in the middle of Germany or something, right? Like now, let's say that they decided next week that we just want to bring 10,000 families and drop them in the middle of your suburban little town, and we're going to even put a down payment on the house so they can go work for Uber Eats at all hours of the night and share one scooter and pick up all these orders. And now you have 5 people per room, and they're all like partying all night and coming and taking a dump on your lawn. Now, does that? How do you? I mean,
well, let's consider this. there in well, France really has this issue. And again, what's great about America is it doesn't matter where we come. Like I always are like we're a melting pot. Okay, we all supposed to share certain American values. But in Europe, God, I forgot, it was one of the countries which is having these problems. And I could look it up, but they had to have classes for the young men, explaining to them that just because a woman doesn't cover up, that doesn't mean that you're allowed to assault them. And it was this cultural problem. It was like it. I didn't think that you would have to explain that. And but of course, the reason why Europe suffers more from this is because they are actually so homogenous. We sort of get around this because we're already so diverse. But um, I mean, I know MSNBC will tell you there's no such thing as a no-go zone in France. I've seen them. I've seen them. It's true. Just nobody talks about it. I guess one could argue, well, that's France. Those countries were just really bad at colonization, and this is what they have to suffer for it. I mean, who knows? But
Right, but and I get your point, and I think and those are good points. I guess what I'm really saying is like should we have to explain those things? Like if somebody's riding around assaulting women, why not deport them, put them in prison, capital
oh yeah,
punishment?
well yeah. No, I mean I don't really have an issue. It's like when you come to America, America itself has certain values, and people are so afraid to say this now about American exceptionalism. It's not racist to say that there are certain ideals which are universal, and America opens its doors so that all of us can live under these universal ideas which are good for society. They're good for society. And if you come here, you sort of should assimilate to that. But over the last 20, 25 years, we've started teaching that, well, values and morals can be relative. What's good for our culture may not be actually good for another culture. For example, when it comes to what we call female genital mutilation, one could argue that, well, I'm imposing my own Western ideals on nations which do that, and I think that's a bunch of poppycock. Um, in every country, thou shalt not murder.
Yeah.
Blasphemy is not a moral right. Like I have a right to criticize any religion anywhere in the world.
Do you think that the Europeans and America specifically, do you think that this is just to uphold some sort of economic system that they're kind of committing Harry-Carry, or do you think this is more of like or whatever we call it, seppuku, whatever, I don't know, whatever the Japanese term is. But do you think that that's, do you think it's for a profit motive, or do you think that this is part of a larger, scheme that, like people say, well, maybe it's the Russians trying to get rid of America and make it a multipolar world, or other people say it's Israel, and other people say this is just America playing 5D chess, or this is China. Do you think it's something like that, or?
So, I mean, the first thing to say is our Western, or the ideas that people can rule themselves. This is good for society. Okay, that's good for society. It's profitable too. I wouldn't say it's a mass conspiracy. I mean, look at how much we've done. And the other thing is that Europe, we here in the United States, we get the idea that European politics is kind of like the same like ours, because well, I mean, we're closely related, but you got to remember, their history is a lot different than what America went through. Is America playing 5D chess? I sure hope so, because when it comes to international relations, there is no such thing as morality. I mean, our international policy should have one goal, which is the preservation of our hegemonic state, and every single thing we do, we should be doing to benefit the United States. That's not a crazy Donald Trump thing to say. That's how the game is played. But we need to elect leaders who know that game. But
Right.
Europe's got its own problems. I mean, look, just 80 years ago, look what Europe was doing. I mean, Europe's a really bloody place. I mean, we try to think that Europe is civilized. I mean, these people get ready to kill. I mean, look what's going on in Ukraine.
Yeah,
They kill each other all the time.
Yeah, I possibly have to run here because they're going to take that debate away. So I'm going to go ahead and start recording that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please do. The link's in the back for Nick Volt. I mean, I want to continue this too. Unfortunately, we're all distracted, busy, and Machine's about to start a thing, so I'm sure we can continue the conversation over there as well. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. You guys are welcome to come by there.
Yeah, I'm going to be on holiday soon, so I'll have some time.
Awesome. Well, he's going live right now, so the link's in the back, and I'll just go ahead and end this now because I'm going to be a little too busy to manage this thing anyway. So, but I'll probably jump on over there soon, and especially if we want to continue this because, yeah, I want to talk more about this stuff. But thank you guys for showing up. I really appreciate you guys, and we'll talk soon. Bye.
Yeah, peace, homie.